presentation, but nonetheless, it will be really good and full of information. If you feel as though I'm going too fast, please just know that you will have the opportunity to have this presentation sent to you. So please don't feel like you're going to miss anything. It will definitely be available. So I'm going to get started. Just bear with me. I'm going to share my screen.
Great. And everybody, when you have a question for Amina during her presentation, go ahead and click on the main chat and then just type in your message. And then I'm going to be reviewing the questions. And when Amina's ready for a question, she's going to let me know. And I'll ask her a few of the questions and we'll get through as many as we can during the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. And can you see my screen, hopefully?
Not yet.
Everything's
Not yet.
okay. Hold on one second.
Sure.
Sorry.
Getting there. Okay, now we do.
Great. Awesome. Okay. All right. So, okay. All right. So again, welcome everyone. So we're here today to help you learn how to apply for Montgomery County government jobs. In this presentation, we're going to cover how to create your account, set up job alerts, and I am going to turn off my video because I'm looking at different screens. So thank you so much for your patience.
Sure, you bet.
Okay, so we're going to set up job alerts, learn how to do that, which is optional, and I'll get to that in a moment. Search for jobs, apply for jobs, check status, as well as talk about resources that are available. Okay, first starting with governmentjobs.com, which is a new platform that we have actually implemented as of August of last year. So we use this particular platform, which reaches a lot more people in terms of everyone looking job seekers. It helps you get a clearer idea of the jobs that are available for county. There are two ways to reach the government job board. You can either do it through workformcg.com or you can go to the directgovernmentjobs.com website. Work for MCG, you can view job openings by clicking one of the two links shown here. You can also check out the latest career news and events, plus our amazing total rewards package. Note that for higher level positions, such as director jobs, they are generally recruited for outside the system. So you can click and see these executive level positions by clicking on this link. Here's the actual direct link for governmentjobs.com. Again, this is what it would look like when you first go to the job board website. Okay, so let's get into speaking about creating your actual job account through governmentjobs.com. First, you're going to click the sign in button at the top right of MCG's job board. Then you're going to click create one link right here, and then it will sign in a pop-up window. The create pop-up window appears. You're going to enter your email address, username, and password. Then you're going to click the create button. You're going to look for confirmation email and click confirm to activate your account. You're going to check the privacy policy box, then click the confirm button to set up your account. Government jobs will not allow you to create an account without accepting the privacy policy. Also, please note that the MCG, in terms of Montgomery County, specifically, when you hear me saying MCG throughout this presentation, I'm referring to Montgomery County government specifically. We do not accept email or paper applications. You've now signed on to this website. So you're going to click the account link at the top right of the screen and click profile for the drop-down menu. You're going to follow step-by-step instructions to set up your profile and upload your resume. If you want to set up your profile later, you're definitely able to do that. Once you actually apply to a specific job, it will also give you that opportunity to set up your profile when you're applying to the job specifically. So as I mentioned earlier, setting up job alerts. So this is an actual optional feature that you can use. To set up the alert, you're going to go to the job board. You're going to click menu at the top left, and then click job alerts sign up. So you can select as many categories as you would like. You can also just click all categories, and what will happen is you will be notified upon the available jobs within that category. In the job interest card pop-up window, add your name and email address, then look for job interest card email. You'll receive job alerts for the next 12 months and then receive a reminder email to extend notification for another year. You can log into your account to add or delete job categories at any point in time. So now we're going to get into speaking about searching for jobs, specifically with Montgomery County government. First, you're going to visit the job boards and use the search, sort, and filter features to find jobs of interest. Now, what I will say about this specifically is you can either choose to sort, you can choose to search or filter, or you can literally just look through each job that's posted. Sometimes you may think that you are putting a certain job category in the search field and that particular job that you're looking for may not show up. So again, you can just kind of use those features until you get a feel for searching for the jobs that you're looking for, and just really to your preference, decide how you want to actually use these features. So clicking on the job that you're actually interested in, you're going to obviously click the hyperlink for the job title. Then you're going to go through and start reading the ad carefully. So what you want to do, number one, is pay attention to the closing date. That closing date is going to let you know exactly how long you have before you can submit your application in terms of the deadlines of submitting your application. We do have some jobs that show a closing date and then other jobs that show open until filled. When they're showing open until filled, that just specifically means that recruitment will remain open for the time frame until the department specifically decides they want to close it down in terms of whether they have enough candidates that they are ready to interview for. They will decide how they want to do that. So when you see open until filled, that's just pretty much what it means. It's a rolling application process. So essentially, this is the start of it. This is the top. I will mention this. The salary range, specifically, the job will list the entire salary range at the very top of the ad. I do know a lot of people have given feedback in terms of sometimes it confuses them in terms of the salary range showing here in the ad, but then in the body of the message is what you really want to pay attention to, which is the expected salary range for the role, which means it's what the department is specifically budgeted for in order to hire at that position. And the body of the ad itself is where you're going to learn about the department that's actually hiring for the position. They will describe who they're looking for specifically within the qualifications of the candidate that they are specifically seeking. There will, at times, there will be a hyperlink that can also take you to the general classification specifications of the job itself, and it will actually go into more detail of letting you know what that class spec actually pertains for the position itself. Further down, you'll see what you'll be doing specifically There will be duties listed, but at times it will say not limited to, but it will give you an overall idea of what the job is advertising. You want to make sure that you pay very, very close attention to this section in an ad. Obviously, once you decide that you do want to apply to the position, the minimum qualifications are your key to determining whether or not you're actually even eligible for the job. You want to just really pay close attention to the education that's required, to the experience that's listed. Sometimes you will see substitutions listed. It will either say substitutions or it will say equivalency. So those are two features that at times jobs allow equivalency and sometimes they do not, meaning that it will let you swap out your experience for missing education or vice versa. You also want to pay attention to the preferred criteria. There are some jobs that have preferred criteria, other jobs do not, and it will state that. Some preferred criteria will be handled in way of asking questions throughout the application that you will have to answer. Some jobs will provide that as screening questions, and then there will also be preferred interview questions or topics that will give you an idea of the ideal candidate that the department is specifically looking for. And again, it's preferred. It is not within the realms of the minimum qualifications. But again, this gives you a very clear idea of what the department is looking for within the position. At the end of every job posting, you will see the information shown on this slide. It highlights Montgomery County government's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it reiterates much of what we have or will discuss today. So next up, we're going to go through the actual application process. On the job board page, you're going to click sign in link, and it will get you into the system. You're going to find the job that you want to apply to, and then you're going to click that job link. Pop-up window will appear. You're going to note the closing date and then click the apply button. You will be taken to the general information screen. If you have not already done so in terms of what I spoke about earlier, setting up your profile, this is where you have the opportunity to do so. Once you've done that in terms of setting up your profile, you'll need to complete the remaining 3 sections highlighted in the green box. So you'll have questions here, review, and certify. So again, you just want to take your time going through this process. It is slightly lengthy, but again, once you set up your profile, it's a little easier to go through each job that you're applying to. So again, this page gives you an idea of certifying and accepting the job button. Then you're going to submit in terms of submitting, accept and submit in terms of the privacy statement. And then you will continue to proceed through the application process. Once you do actually submit your application overall, you will be able to check your status by logging in. Application received status will let you know that your application was submitted properly and there were no errors in terms of submitting your application. There are several different statuses that your application can actually appear in. There could be one that says eligible list. There can be a status that says referred. Referred means that you were referred to the department to potentially be contacted for an interview. So now we're at a point where we will discuss resources. Montgomery County government, we offer a lot of resources for job seekers. On our page, Work for MCG, again, it speaks about resume preparation tips, job application guides, reasonable accommodation, and much more. But again, if you take your time, go to our website, please peruse through there, and any questions that you have, we do provide resources and points of contact as well on our website. So if you get stuck during the application process, you can also review the comprehensive guide on government jobs. Montgomery County Public Library resources. There are a whole host of resources related to career. They have classes, they have webinars. We also host public forums. Specifically, we, meaning human resources, our department, we speak specifically about applying to jobs through a public forum monthly with Montgomery County Public Libraries as well. And you can sign up through the Montgomery County Public Library's website in order to hear this information again. So again, there are like a host of career resources. These are a few that I'm just listing here for your reference. And we are at the Q&A part of the session now. So thank you again for um, staying with me through that presentation, but I just wanted to make sure I covered everything specifically pertaining to going through the process of applying to jobs here in county.
Thank you, Amina. We have so many questions for you.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing and then come back on.
Okay, that's great.
All
And
right.
Justin's going to keep the spotlight on you, and we'll keep recording until the end of your presentation time. So thank you.
Okay,
All right, so let me go back up because I wanted to start down. I just put your presentation as an attachment in chat to everyone, so they'll
sure.
have that. And
Okay, thank
then
you.
your recording will get up on the website by next Thursday or sooner. So, and
Okay,
I'll send an email to everybody, let them know that that is there, so they'll have access to it. Okay,
okay.
so the first question is, someone asked if you could please, let me scroll down.
I think the first question is at 10:20.
Thanks, Jody. I was just like,
I know.
okay, I'm still getting used to this one. Okay, someone asked if you could please put the board website address up again, because it moved too fast to note down.
Oh, sure. Yes, I can plug that in.
Perfect.
Just one moment.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll just put it into the chat.
Okay, cool.
And it'll hit everyone, so
yeah.
I'll just do message to everyone.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And someone asked, what is the current typical time frame to hear back about an application? And can you explain the hiring process?
Yes. Okay. Hopefully that showed up okay. So it's workformcg.com, just to let you all know. That is the main job board page. But if you have any issues, just to kind of, before I get to the question, I'm very sorry, like I'm skipping, but just in terms of the link itself, if you want to go to our human resource website, and then you can actually go through and get to the career page that way as well. So Montgomery County MD .gov/HR. I'll put it in the chat as well in a little bit. But to get to the question in terms of the job process, we get this question a lot, and I know it's because the job process is very lengthy. It depends on the job that you are applying to, how many applicants there are. There's a review process, basically. So once the job closes, basically the timeline starts in terms of us as recruiters getting the eligible list to the department that's hiring. And then once they are in receipt, the department specifically will have a time frame of getting the candidates that they want to interview selected. Now, what I will say is in this job climate at this point, there are hundreds of people who apply daily to almost all of our jobs. So the departments, depending on the eligible status of each candidate, is going to determine when you hear back. When we refer candidates to the department, you become in a referred status, meaning that you are on an eligible list. you are going to the department, you're reaching the eligible status, and then from there, the department will decide who they actually want to interview. So it can take an upwards of over a month to actually get through that process. The department actually has 30 days to go through their eligible list and select candidates in terms of determining who they want to interview for each job. So recruiters have 2 weeks to get the information to the department. The department has 30 days. So it can take a month, if not more than a month, obviously, to actually determine what the next step will be with each candidate.
Wow, that's good to know. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then someone asked if they had an account for Montgomery County Jobs before, will their password still work or do they have to create a new account?
You should be able to now, if Montgomery County Jobs, like, so we had an old website,
Right. Yeah.
basically. So the iRecruitment website, it's not going to work.
Okay.
You're going to actually have to create a new website for government jobs. Specifically, I hope I'm answering the question correctly, like
Yeah,
in
that's
terms of answering what they
yeah.
were asking for.
Yeah, I think that's right because Mike
Yeah.
Serbo said, "Hey folks, it's gonna be changing and you're gonna have to
Yeah,
do
so it
everything
was
again."
yeah, it was our old website, which was iRecruitment, and that particular login will not work with government jobs. You do have to create a new profile.
Okay. Then when the next question is, this person is a former federal contractor with USAID. They
Mhm.
applied to a Montgomery County position on April 1st, have not received any updates. Their application is listed as submitted, no further actions, all. Given current unemployment crisis and climate, I expect it to reach some type of communication as it has been over 3 months now. Thank you.
Yes, and again, thank you for your patience. I thank all of you for your patience in terms of getting through this process. I know it is arduous and the time frame of hiring is very lengthy, and I do appreciate your patience for that. What I can say is we do have an email that you can specifically send a request to ask for the status of your application. It is hiring at montgomerycountymd.gov. And I know Anne was saying she will be able to provide that email address again, but it's hiring at montgomerycountymd.gov. What you can do is you can put the requisition number and the title of the job that you apply to, put it in the email and specifically ask what your status is, and someone will get back to you pertaining to that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And then someone asked, is the profile specific for each job? If I apply for job A and job B would highlight different skills on my resume between these two jobs, can you do that? Does that
Yeah,
make
so your
sense?
profile remains the same. Your actual profile remains the same, but your resume that you submit to each job can change. So um, it is slightly, again, I have heard this feedback as well when people do go into the job application. Their job history is carrying over to each application, which cannot be prevented, but you can tweak it. I know it is somewhat of a headache, according to some, but you can switch your resume in terms of each job that you apply to.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And are all the Montgomery County departments in this portal? What about schools or police?
So in terms of Montgomery County Police, yes, we do post jobs specifically within this portal. MCPS is completely separate with the exception of school health techs as well as community health nurses. So school health techs and community health nurses are actually employed through Montgomery County government through HHS, our Health and Human Services Division. Other careers with MCPS are specifically through their career site.
Okay. Oh, this is a good question. Do you all use ATS for screening the resumes, or is there a real person who reviews the resumes?
So it's a combination. So what we do is, and I stress this a lot, the questions that you answer in your application please make sure you're answering them carefully. Sometimes you may click on a question and then scroll with your mouse, scroll down, and it may toggle the answer. So sometimes people are answering questions of, do you have a high school diploma? It'll say no. They meant to say yes. That will screen them into the fail category. So just be very, very careful in terms of how you're answering your questions. So there are pre-screening questions, and then the recruitment department, we do review each resume. So we're going through hundreds of resumes to review the ones that pass the first initial screen.
Wow. Okay. And then what is the time from the application to possible onboarding?
Now that depends on what job you're applying to. If it's with public safety, they have a very lengthy process in terms of going through set clearances, required clearances, some of the clearances can take an upwards of 6 to 8 weeks. If you are dealing with a job outside of public safety, let's say it's an admin job, and it's just clear cut, straightforward. There are not a lot of clearances or any background checks that need to be done. Um, I would say it could vary depending on how the department responds with selecting who they want to interview. When they interview, depending on how many people they do interview, let's just say I would give it a few months, specifically a few months. Again, you have to also take into account if you are still employed, the time frame that you have to give to your employers. So there's a lot that goes into the onboarding process, but it could take a few months to get through the entire process.
Okay. And that answers the next question too about how long does it typically take? So that answers that. Are existing current county employees given any preference to other applicants?
So we have hiring preference where, let's say if you have external, it's an external and internal application process where it's not just specifically within Montgomery County government. All applicants are given due process in terms of going through everything, the screening questions, everything. But we do have hiring preference where people, if you're a vet with disability, as well as people that have other disabilities, you can select hiring preference. Then what you have to do is provide the information that justifies your preference um, request. And if we are able to validate that, then hiring preference candidates would be put ahead of anyone else that will be selected for interviewing. So when I say put ahead, it just means you will be interviewed first. Then if the department decides to bypass with the candidates, if the candidates, it's just not a good fit, if they do not actually qualify, and if the candidate decides they don't want to, they will go to the next eligible candidates. In terms of internal, if it's going to be something of that sort, essentially it would be advertised internally only if that was the case. But the departments, when they advertise external and internal, it's a fair chance across the board.
Okay. And then is there any pre-employment testing required?
So there are, in terms of pre-employment testing, I would assume perhaps maybe medical or background. There are some medical and psych evaluations that are given. Public safety, again, they go through truth verification, which can have like the use of polygraph, so on and so forth. So there are some clearances that have to be given for the set job that you're applying to. There are medical evaluations that also have to be done through our medical services center we have, but all of that again is explained within the job ad. And then when we do reach out to a candidate that is selected for hire, we go through that process as well in terms of letting them know what they have to go through.
Okay. And someone asked if there are any specific displaced federal employee programs, and someone else was kind enough to put something in there for Montgomery Gov. OPI Fed Worker Resources. And I didn't know if you have anything else in your department as well.
So right now, again, we are getting a lot of applications from federal workers. I know that County Council has been in talks of potentially looking into additional resources that could be provided for federal government workers. There hasn't been anything passed as of yet, but I know that they are working steadfast to try their best along with working with our department to ensure that we give as many resources as possible to all federal workers who are displaced at the moment.
That's good. Are there any 55 plus friendly employee recruitment programs that the county has?
Uh, in terms of 55 plus specifically, I don't believe there are specific programs for that, but again, our career resources are really across the board.
Yeah.
It may not be age specific, but we are across the board and trying to help as many people as possible be able to apply and have a fair chance in terms of being considered. Montgomery County Public Libraries, though, is a huge source of various career links that you can
Oh,
use,
yeah.
preparation. You,
Yeah.
they have so many resources
Mhm.
that can be used through Montgomery County Public Libraries. They have teachings for if you want
Yep.
to kind of update your technology skills or anything of that sort. So please definitely go through Montgomery County Public Libraries and see there are free resources there. And that's why I named them specifically because you don't have to pay.
That's true. And they have a whole event section. And when you click on the event, some are virtual, some are in person, and that's where you're going to find, and they have a whole job seekers section. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
And we do host public forum monthly, OHR through public libraries.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's great. And I know that you mentioned you answered the question about ATS. Are you all using AI in your reviews when you get them individually? Okay.
Yeah, no, we're not. But I can say that please be careful if you are using AI for your resumes to
Oh,
ensure that just ensure that it's reflecting honestly, in terms of your resume. I have seen resumes where people still had their Chat GPT summary literally listed in their resume. So you want to ensure that if you are going to utilize AI, that you do it where when you do have to actually show that you have these skills
Oops.
that you're listing, that you can be able to do that.
That makes sense.
Yes,
Um,
Amina, we agree with you. I
Yeah.
mean, yes.
Yeah, it's a
that's
great
good.
feature. Don't get me wrong, but
No,
Yeah.
but
um,
it should be your voice and your,
yes,
right, yes,
yeah,
correct.
because you are going to obviously, you can answer. So we have a lot of yes, no questions in our applications. You can answer yes, no, yes, no. You can answer yes to everything, but at some point, you're going to actually have to show that you do have those skill sets that you're answering yes
Yes,
to. So.
yes,
Mhm.
Funny.
of course.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you for that. Um, and is there a limit to the number of referred going to the department? And does the department only see referrals that you send?
So there's no limit. We used to have actually we used to have limitations in terms of how many people the manager could actually interview. But at this point, with using government jobs, there's not a limit that goes to the department. Now, because it's so many people that are actually applying to these jobs recently. I mean, we are getting like hundreds of people to like, let's say one job. We try to ensure that the preferred criteria questions, if used, will help assist the managers in selecting the applicants that they want to actually interview. Um, and to answer the second part of that question, the referred list is what goes to the department. In terms of the eligible list, if the department wanted to go back and see the eligible list, if there was no preferred criteria used, they would be able to go back and do that. So they would be able to go back and see the list. But we essentially, everyone that's eligible is given to the department. So there's no one left out. So that referred list is literally everyone that's eligible. It's the department's choice of who they will then interview, if that makes sense for you guys.
Yep. Okay. And then what type of attachments are requested for upload? Transcripts, riffs, letters, references?
So you can attach, so if you are a person who is selecting hiring preference, let's say for like you're a vet or you're a vet with disability or you have disability. So DD 214 needs to be uploaded within your application. Schedule A for disability needs to be uploaded in your application. Those documents are not sent to the department, by the way. They are kept within HR, but it's what we use to verify that you do have that and eligibility for the hiring preference. In terms of applying, you will obviously have your resume attached. Please make sure you attach your resume. If you do not attach your resume, your application will be automatically failed. In terms of when we review, if we don't have anything to verify that your history, with the exception of what's in your profile, if you don't provide your resume, it will be skipped. Your application will be skipped over. In terms of any additional information, if the job ad request for you, let's say to provide your CDL or verification of your licensing for counseling or a therapist, anything that is requested in that ad, please pay attention to and actually upload it. If you do not include it, that could be, again, another way that your application would be skipped.
Wow. Okay. You have to pay attention.
Yeah, very, very close attention.
Someone said that they've been told that whenever they list their desired salary, it's almost always one-way ticket to application being rejected. Should an applicant state their desired salary in the application form?
You can state your desired salary. What I did mention earlier, the salary range is always listed specifically for the job, but in the ad itself, it's going to say the expected salary range. So you want to ensure that if that range is not what you're looking for, that may not be the job for you. The expected salary range that is listed in the ad lets you know what the department is actually budgeted for to hire for that actual position itself. So it's not going to, you listing the salary that you're interested in is not going to make or break your application at all. The department has the final say in terms of what they want to offer, and then it comes back to human resource compensation that will approve whether or not that is a feasible salary for you to be hired at.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mhm.
And is there a method to confirm answers before submitting?
You could just, I would just review it before you submit it. So you just literally take your time and go back through and see what answers you've selected, whether it be a
Mhm.
yes, no, whether it be giving explanation in an answer. Sometimes the applications do ask for additional text and information elaborating on your experience. So I would just, take your time, review it before you submit it. There's no other way. You just kind of go back through, review it, and make sure everything is what you want before you submit.
Okay. And then we do have someone who was asking about your contact information. I know we have the hiring at montgomerycounty.gov, which is the preferred email.
Yeah. So I could definitely give my email address as well. Please just know that I try my best to get back to as many people as possible. I try to set up appointments to speak with as many people that I can. Please just give me some grace to get back to
Mhm.
you, but you could definitely reach out to me. That's fine.
Okay. And I'll put
And
the chat, I'll put her email in chat in just a few minutes, folks.
sure.
And our federal, okay, we already answered the question about federal employees. They're not given preference over anybody else. It's just everybody's based on their skills, correct?
Right. At the time, right now, presently, yes, that's correct.
Okay. And are there any re-entry programs?
In terms, so we do have with our Department of Corrections, they have like programs there. Some departments do allow hire for reentry. Yes. So it just depends on what departments are hiring and what is actually allowed. There are some positions, when I mentioned Department of Corrections specifically, we had a recent event with WorkSource Montgomery, and it was for regarding reentry. So they actually hosted that. So there are some programs there. It just depends on the requirements for the job that you're applying to, the specifics, where you will be working, and that will determine that.
Okay. We have about a minute and a half left.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and go through these really quick. We know the
Uh,
school system does a background check. Does the county do a check for when they hire an employee?
So there are departments that do background checks, and then there are other departments that don't. Again, it's very specific to each position. It just depends on what the requirements are. Some
Okay,
require, some don't. Mhm.
gotcha. Someone said they understand that someone from your team physically reviews the applications. Would you mind explaining what happens next, or is there any do's and don'ts that would assist in getting our resume seen by your hiring team?
So in terms of applying, as I mentioned earlier, I would just suggest that you definitely focus on the minimum qualifications. I can't stress that enough. A lot of times people will think, okay, yes, I do qualify for that particular application, but then the minimum qualifications don't reflect on the actual resume itself. So when you submit your resume, when you submit your work history, you want to ensure that, let's say they say have 5 years of professional experience leading the department in whatever the related field is. And you want to ensure that your resume shows that 5 years of experience. If your resume is only reflecting 2 years, you're not going to minimally qualify. It takes you to minimally qualify for the position. And then if the job has preferred screening questions that are being used in the application, that preferred screening question is going to determine, are you going to be put into a well-qualified list, or are you going to be put into just a qualified list? So you just want to ensure that you pay attention to the minimum qualifications in order to be eligible for that job application. From there, it depends on whether or not there are additional screening questions for the application as to whether or not you will be sent to the department as a well-qualified candidate, or if there's no screening questions, you will be sent to the department as an eligible candidate as long as you minimally qualify.
Okay. Amina, thank you, thank you, thank